do that. That's why I got on early. Yep, it's recording.
Great.
Well, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, no problem. Just because we can share that later with anybody who isn't able to make it. And we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we can also put up a link to the PDF. And of course, we have
Yes.
online voting, which we'll check out in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll just wait for a few more people. Just let me know when you're ready to start.
All right. I'd say give it like 6:05. I think we can get going. We won't wait too long.
Okay, we'll start then.
All right.
To anyone just joining in, we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. To anyone just joining in, we're going to get started in about 4 minutes. Two-minute countdown. To those of you just joining us, we're going to get started in about 1 minute. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. Um, I'm LeVar Horde, an artist working on this mural. I'm going to toss it over to Hillary for some introductions, and of course, Alderman Lee.
Thanks everyone for joining. We're holding this session to take a look at some proposed ideas that LeVar is going to present to us for the Riverwalk at 2424 Halsted. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. And yeah, love to hear your thoughts today.
I'm going to go ahead. Oh,
uh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Alderman Lee, is there anything you want to kick off this
Yeah,
session?
just a couple of just really brief things so we can get on the road. Thank you, Hillary and Prologis and LeVar for holding this meeting so that we can get some community input. For those of you who joined us, thank you. We are recording this so that we will be able to share this with anybody that didn't make the meeting tonight. LeVar will go over the design concepts and then the engagement piece of this, which is going to be some input from the broader community, taking some votes on integrating part of the design. I don't want to steal all his thunder, but this for those of you who have been in the neighborhood for a while, this mural was a benefits piece that was associated with the construction of the facility, the Amazon facility that Prologis built. So we're really happy to be getting this off the ground and to be one step closer to getting some really beautiful art along that Riverwalk. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and allow LeVar to give his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alderman Lee, and thank you to Prologis for this opportunity. I'm going to try to start to do a screen share. So let's see how that works. Can everyone see the graphic? Yes? Great. Okay.
Yep.
This around. I'm going to spend some time going through this mural, the location, the context, and some really exciting stuff that I'm really happy to present this evening. Finding Flow represents about a year of work. Hold on here, I can't get it to move. Oh, there we go. This concept really presents some really interesting aesthetics and approaches to art and muralism. If anyone's unfamiliar with the location, we're here on Halsted at the Chicago River, looking west toward the Amazon warehouse, as it's widely known, and this new section of the Chicago Riverwalk. And we've taken a lot of time to analyze the opportunity, the public art opportunity. And this particular concept looks at sort of phase one of this, which is a mural in front of the new seating area there along the Riverwalk. This is looking at that area. It's shaded in green. This is looking from across the river. And we've developed a concept for really the entire area, but something that can be sort of executed step by step. When we consider the context, obviously this is at the confluence of several neighborhoods: Chinatown, Armour Square, Bridgeport, Pilsen, and the South Branch of the Chicago River. This is looking at the new section of the Riverwalk and the mural wall to the right, Chicago River to the left there. And you can kind of get an idea of the context that we're talking about here. There is an educational exhibit that is currently at the site, which calls out some of the eco features of the site, as well as an interesting tidbit I'm sure many of us know about, and that's circled in green there, the Chicago River reversal. We are on the section of the Chicago River that was reversed, its flow taking water away from Chicago and Lake Michigan way back in the day when open sewage was the primary use of the Chicago River. And of course, they were able to reverse the flow of the river to flow into the Mississippi River, and so that it wouldn't end up in our lake. And that is something that's always fascinated me, how they were able to do this, such a monumental accomplishment, something Chicago is well known for, without the use of modern, computation and software and forecasting. I come from an architectural background, and so I'm familiar with some of these technologies that we would use today, such as computational fluid dynamics. And what that is basically computer modeling and turning data and forecasting and estimating into a visual graphic. So I look to that as a source of inspiration, when you're coming up with a concept for a mural. You spend a whole lot of time wondering, what can I paint? What will be relevant? And in these graphics, as you can see here, a study from the University of Illinois looking at the dynamics of the Chicago River. And you can see these sort of graphics that translate data into what I find to be a very interesting set of colors and patterns. And so part of this process, since it has gone on for so long, I, as an artist, have been afforded the opportunity to innovate. And it's something I'm very grateful for with this project, and the amount of time that I've spent on it, is that in this process, I've been able to develop a custom piece of software, specifically site-specific to here, but something that will turn out to be a world's first use of this type of technology in the planning and design of a mural. And that technology comes from the architecture world. It's called Grasshopper, Rhino. It's actually two programs that work in tandem, but they allow architects and designers to manipulate 3D forms. And what I asked the software and programmed it to do was to say, well, I have a 3D form, but I've got a wall with these blocks, and I need to find something interesting to do there. So finding flow, everything about the concept for this mural comes from this idea that I'm trying to find a flow with this wall. I'm trying to be site specific and develop something very interesting. Analyzing the wall, it's a very rough concrete wall that's in stacked blocks. The roughness of the surface does not lend itself to doing something figurative, that is painting a person or an animal or something like that. It's just hard to get crisp lines and details on a surface like this. So we looked at abstract art, and in order to arrive to a concept, we analyzed the size of the blocks, what we could do with these blocks, what combinations of patterns, and that led us to think about approaching this from a concept based in tessellation. Now, you may not know this word or have heard of it, but you've probably seen in some of the historic buildings, the colors of bricks, the protrusions of them, those are tessellated brick patterns. And because we're dealing with a block wall, not brick, these are bigger, I was inspired by the fact that this language, this design language, already existed from historic days as well. So we took it a step further, and we employed software to help us come up with relevant and interesting designs, not purely based off of algorithms and coding, but based off of a hand-drawn composition that is then translated by the software and manipulated by the software. So I'll go into that a little bit later. And materiality, we're in an industrial area, an area not many people cared about or could even access before. So this is an all new location, but it of course is defined by, rusty metals and heavy metals and the industriality of the area. And certainly that's something that is has a high art value. Certainly these days we have a number of corten and rusted sort of sculptural works. And so the first concept that we came up with was really a sort of study in color and the use of rust, actual rust, as a material. And it was inspired by a very famous artist who I'll talk about in a minute, but we call this particular version, version 1, Rothko synthesis. It's extruded color bars using rusts and blues with the complementary color to blue, which is featured on the building. That Amazon blue is in the orange and yellow spectrum. So this is artist Mark Rothko, who sort of inspired the first iteration. He's very well known. His paintings sell for millions, but what he's particularly known for is this sort of color theory and using colors to evoke emotional responses. And of course, we've come to learn a lot about color over the years and how it can calm and do different things. But this particular painting spoke to me, and that's Rust and Blue from 1953, because it contained the colors I was playing with in version 1. And so that's why this version is called Rothko synthesis. I'm going to go ahead and just go through different views, and you'll notice this weird looking sculpture. That's an amazing Mexican artist sculpture. That's just there for a conversation piece, which we'll converse about later. But what you're looking at is a from the water view to version 1, the Rothko synthesis concept, based kind of when I'm looking at lots of data from the Chicago River, whether it be the fish and the carp problem we have in this particular branch of the river, or looking at bar graphs from other data, sort of extruded that to create this pattern language. Here's another view looking from that new public seating area on the Riverwalk and educational exhibit. And here's yet another view where you can really see those areas that have this rust color. Now, it's very difficult to mock up a mural. This is, a visual representation. Of course, it's a mural. It's a painted work of art, and it has its own nuances and color depth. And it's achieved by using very specialty materials. This particular paint is not really a paint, it's like liquefied metals that was developed in Hollywood actually many years ago. I'm one of the few artists who have used this before, and particularly in Chicago, we have more murals with these high-end materials that give you a really interesting effect. Here you can see liquefied bronze, copper, and iron. It is painted on and then sprayed with acid, which accelerates the patina. Same patina you see on the Statue of Liberty, or a weathered penny, or a rusty seawall along the Chicago River. This is a mural at the Lakeshore Beverage headquarters where I first used that material. And in fact, all 3 materials are in this mural: the rust, bronze, and copper, as well as non-metallic paints. And the results there were pretty spectacular. To take a really boring facade, which used to be a blank wall, and they kind of punched some windows in and wanted to bring color and interest and call attention to where the entrance was. And we were able to do that in a really cool way. This is another mural that uses the materiality. It's the Crate and Barrel CB2 headquarters on Goose Island. That's liquefied copper as well as real copper foil. So I wanted to bring that experience of working with these materials into a new version. I guess the first version, the Rothko synthesis, some people may find is dark or serious. It has a fine art value, and I'm really known for fine art murals, and I want this to be an enduring example of that. So that led me to a second concept, and we're going to have an opportunity to vote on these concepts in the coming weeks and months. But concept 2 then is density contours, and it sort of throws out the previous color palette and brings in a new one that complements the Amazon blue. And when you see the stripe in the middle, that's a representation of the entire length of the wall. In the background is a representation of the colors involved there. So again, in finding flow, well, what are you creating? What's the image? What does it mean? This is a visual representation of data from the Chicago River, and it's called a density contour. So this concept is called density contour. I developed and painted by hand the top version. It's a digital painting with brushes, starting with the colors. And then I use this software that I developed specifically for this to help me eliminate, a certain range of colors. So instead of having 50 different shades of yellow in order to achieve this, I can tell it only 12, please, because otherwise we'd end up with 500 gallons of different colors. So concept 2, density contours. Here are the 3 different views. Here's a view looking from the river, again, with that imaginary sculpture in the water. But what you can see is that it's a complementary colors to that blue band of the building in the back. Again, the opposite and complementary colors to blue is orange and yellows. And we brought in still a little bit of the rust coloring as a shadow, and green to represent the Chicago River. There are even areas, the gray areas you see are left to their natural concrete. So then the other material and color in this mural gray comes from the existing gray blocks, which we will selectively expose in this painted mosaic. And again, this is really an example of a color field type of painting style that is really highly valued, and I think sits well in the industrial context. The next 2 examples get really techy, and I use this tool that I developed to figure this out, and I called it code switcher. So the next 2 concepts take this data graphs and really go all in on a technology aesthetic that has a high art value. And again, this is a snapshot of that software, 2 different softwares. And you see these lines and switches and things. This is how you visually model algorithms. And so what we did was, the first example is purely computer generated. The other 2 examples started with a digital painting I did, and then I asked the software to degrade it and map it to the blocks that were there. And again, you can see that this underlying language is in the wall already. Each block offset from the other, that language is there. So we asked the software to help us identify exactly where to put these colors. So the third concept then is called data dump, and it takes when you look at the sort of colors of pollution, or you see something in the water and gasoline or chemicals, it produces a sheen. However, unfortunate, those are beautiful colors and a beautiful effect. And so the third one is called data dump because it not only sort of harkens to the past of the Chicago River as a place where people dumped chemicals and things like that, but it also, again, takes that the graphic display of data, and merges the 2. So you can see in this example what that would look like from 3 different views. I'm going to go ahead and go through each view there. Again, all renderings are an approximation. What can't be communicated here is how much depth it will have in the end, because the blocks are textured, they're inset, there's lots of shadow play and light bounce going on, so it'll be much richer as compared to the sort of 2D representation. But you get an idea of how this will fit onto the wall. Here's yet another view of data dump, the concept data dump, and it actually presents, kind of looks like a portal to another world even. And that's where the land next to the wall kind of raises, as you can see. So it is specifically placed there to sort of play off of the contour of the earth, be a fun place to take a picture also. This is another view of data dump. look as you're jogging down the river walk. You can see it's going to be a pretty fun mural that works perfectly and complements the building behind it. All of these murals are site specific and specifically colors chosen, you know, to look good, frankly, with what's there. The fourth concept is called Roy-G Biv. And if you remember from school, that's the full spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And so we just kind of went crazy on this one and said, let's use all the colors in the rainbow and also, you know, give it some pattern language and really see what Code Switcher, this world debut technology that this mural would represent, can do. And so you can see the first bar, which represents the digital painting I did with colors to get this stripe, and then, you know, what that looks like mapped to each and every individual brick on the wall that we're painting. It gives a really cool early tech video game mine shaft aesthetic, and is different as you're moving down the river. You know, that's one of the things that is true with all of these murals, is that they are kinetic, which means that your experience seeing it up close like this is going to be a lot different than the people looking at it going by in a boat, and someone looking at it from Halsted, and someone looking at it from across the river, because the further away you go from it, your eye cannot see those bricks, and it merges them together and gives you this perfect gradient of color. And so here's another view of concept 4. And again, I'm very proud of this, and I can't stress enough that because of the amount of time that we've taken over the last year to explore this and what's possible here, we were able to do something that hasn't been done in the world of art before, and I'm very proud of that. This project also has involved Chicago's youth from the west and south sides. I have been working for many years with kids, teaching them what I do and how we do it, and, you know, hoping to turn them on to art as a career option. And so we've held a number of meetings in the community down the street, actually at Children's Museum of Art and Social Justice, had some workshops. They helped me tremendously in counting how many blocks we have, and working with me to develop color schemes, and will also be a tremendous help as we move forward. You'll see that this wall is thousands of feet, over 1,000 feet long. It's very long. We're not doing the entire span. I think that in the future, this can become a world-renowned work of art installation, with the support of, you know, available fundraising resources that are available for public art. Frankly, in Chicago, we can see this project, you know, with Prologis's amazing start and enabling this innovation to happen. We can move forward in the future and looking at doing the entire expanse so that it becomes a destination art piece that is talked about and is used as a case study the world over. And you can see the potential of that. And now that we've got this tool, it'll be a lot easier to plan that out so that it's one flowing work of art from tip to tip. This is some pie in the sky stuff because I'm an artist and that's what we do. And we looked at, you know, the elements, and there is an existing structure that's in the water in this indentation. And we thought, boy, the mural's cool, but what would really be cool there would be some kind of sculpture. You saw one example in the renderings earlier. This is a totally another pie in the sky, forward thinking. What's the ultimate potential? What's the highest and best use of this, you know, foundation that's sitting there? And the idea that art along the river is something that we value. And, you know, in the winter, it becomes a nice sculpture. Wouldn't that be nice? So with that, I'll toss it back over to Hillary and open it up for any questions you might have about this project or some of the art concepts presented here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, LeVar. That was wonderful. Did anyone have any questions or comments? Hi,
Speechless.
Ellen.
Oh, no.
Hi. I'm one of the neighbors, and I'm not sure you're aware, but there was a great deal of turmoil and opposition and disappointment about the presence of this warehouse along the river. I do have to say, as somebody who works in the design world, deeply impressed by the intense process and the careful consideration. And I have to say, as one of the neighbors, it makes me feel a little bit differently about what's there. I will never get over having lost that amazing site to an empty warehouse. But thank you so much.
Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. And as an artist, I mean, I can sympathize with you there, but this is certainly a new riverfront, a new community amenity, and I'm just happy that I was able to come up with something that would make it interesting, regardless, I guess, of what people think of the building. I think this is an amazing opportunity to have a great piece of sort of fine art in the community, which wasn't there before. So thank you for your comment.
Yeah, Ellen, thank you for your comments, and LeVar, thank you for the presentation. Really, I'd seen the presentation once before. I know I had a sneak peek to that already, so just as impressive the second time around. I really appreciate the work that you've done in this last year, especially with the integrating the young people in the process, and I think really make that this was not just a box ticking exercise. This is something that has been, I would say I haven't seen it necessarily, but I know there were blood, sweat, and tears involved in this because I know it's been a long process. And I, appreciate what everybody's done. Excuse me. And that there's still some opportunity for engagement here, which, I'd love, LeVar, if you could talk about what is next in the process so that we can get to the next phase of this, have the community weigh in, and then really allow you all to get to real work on this, physically working on the mural next year.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So, in the spring is when we plan on getting started on this arduous and tedious process of making this come to life. In the meantime, well, certainly over the next several weeks, I don't know how long the voting and commenting and online presentation and things like that will be available, but it will be. We've got a few people who are vocal and very interested in what's going on in the community when it and that's great. They're here today. Other people may not have been able to make it. So this is going to be available for people to see. And I want more people to see it. I mean, what has happened in this process, and as the Alderman said, is not just a box ticking exercise, because this was no box anyone could tick.
I mean, there are a lot of boxes involved in this mural, let's be real.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
not a
Right.
box ticking
It's
exercise.
a box painting. That's what's going on.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, LeVar, I hate to cut you off. I'm just I'm cognizant of the fact that there's a timer on our Zoom meeting here. It says remaining time 1 minute and
Oh, yeah.
55 seconds, and I don't want us to just get cut off.
Yeah.
So if there are any other questions, put them in the chat and we can get them answered. Otherwise, we will be sharing this presentation. Hillary will send me a link to the video so that we can post that to our YouTube channel, and then we'll advertise this QR code for the Survey Monkey in the next newsletter. And if you don't already subscribe to the newsletter, check out our 11th Ward Facebook page. You can see the most recent one. Drop us your email and then we will get you signed up.
Awesome. We've got
So-
1 minute left.
Alderman Lee, I'll just send over a copy of the recording of this the PDF and then the survey link as well for the Survey Monkey.
Yeah, and since we're at the holidays, I think if it's okay with you, Hillary and LeVar, we'll go to maybe mid-January on this, just because of the timing of everything. I think a month is more than sufficient. I think 2 weeks may be a little bit short, just given the holiday.
Yep,
If
totally
that's
understand.
okay with you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, LeVar's not, we can't get out there and do anything anytime soon anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Bye.
Bye.